Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. All of us know about the most popular men's fragrances out there. The Dior Sauvages, the Aqua de Joes, YSL Ys, Bleu de Chanel's. Today though, I have 10 fragrances for you that are way more popular than you might expect. Some of the best selling men's fragrances on the market that get little to no hype. All the fragrances that I talked to you about here today are going to be linked in the description below. Feel free to check them out down there. Let's get it kicked off with the fragrance that is just outside the top 5 best-selling men's fragrances, period. Yeah, that popular. Something that outsells every single other men's fragrance in existence other than 5. Only 5 are more popular. It is Gucci Guilty. So some of you out there might be like, no, Gucci Guilty's pretty popular, I knew that. But did you know it was that popular? The reason it might be surprising to some people is, well, one, it's been out for a little while. This is not a new fragrance, but people keep buying it and rebuying it, so it maintains its status as one of the best-selling fragrances out there. I'm gonna get the exact year, I forget. Going on almost 15 years old, technically came out in 2011, very fresh, clean, easy to wear. But when this came out, it was review bombed. It got a lot of hate. People were just saying how boring it is, how generic it is, etc., etc. Now, I actually think Gucci Guilty smells great. Just as far as something that's really versatile that people are gonna love, that's very clean. And honestly, this style of fragrance, pretty popular right now. Look at YSL Myself. I'm not saying this smells like Myself, but you know, the idea of a clean fragrance that has white florals in there, yeah, it's coming back into vogue. Regardless though, when it came out, it was hated on. And yet, it is one of the most popular, best-selling fragrances out there today. And honestly, I do think that for what this does, it does it extremely well. Now we're gonna go down the bestsellers list from number 6 to number 36 with this one, 1 Million Lucky. Now you might say, well, 36, that's not that popular, is it? Yeah, yeah it is. When you consider how many men's fragrances come out every single year and how many men's fragrances have come out from the beginning of time until now, there are a bunch, thousands of fragrances that this crushes in sales. 1 Million Lucky though has always felt like one of those fragrances that got a lot of love from maybe some people in the fragrance community, you know, people who are really into fragrances, they love this one, but it was always being talked about as something that's gonna be discontinued any moment. If you've been around fragrances for a while, you know that 1 Million Lucky has come up time and time again as a fragrance that's gotta be discontinued. It's gotta be, I guarantee you, this year. Okay, it didn't get discontinued this year, next year. Okay, it didn't get, it's gonna be next year. Actually, it's gonna be, okay? It's gonna get discontinued, eventually. But that's how it's been, like people just constantly going, it's going away, you know it's gonna go away. But no, it's a top 40 bestseller. It's actually one of the best-selling fragrances that Paco Rabanne has. It doesn't outsell Phantom, but it still does well. And I think it deserves the sales maybe even more because this is very, very nice. And I love the mix of notes that it has, like fresh notes mixed with deeper notes. It makes it have great versatility. It smells very unique, good compliment puller. Now we're gonna move on up to the number 20 bestseller. This one really, really does well. And it is Versace Man Eau Fraiche. Surprisingly very good. Because when it comes to Versace, most people would probably think Eros, which makes sense. And Eros does sell very well. That's a top 5 bestseller. But then most people would probably think, okay, Eros, Versace Pour Homme next, right? Versace Pour Homme, or maybe Dylan Blue. But no, actually, Man Eau Fraiche outsells both of those fragrances, which for a lot of people would be kind of a surprise because Man Eau Fraiche is just one of those like sleeper hits. It's been around for a while and yet people love it and they keep buying it, just like Gucci Guilty over here. That is something that happens a lot with fragrances, where something comes out, it's really popular, it gets an audience, and then people like it so much that they wear a bottle, buy a new one, go through that bottle, buy a new one, go through that bottle, buy a new one. So you have this like built-in fan base that keeps buying the fragrances, which keeps them as bestsellers. And then as time goes on, you know, new people that are getting into fragrances, they try it out, they like it, and the whole thing just keeps on going. And that's how you end up with some of these best sellers that have been out for decades, but still outsell all the new stuff. And this one is really pleasant, very easy to wear. It smells a little bit like Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue for women, but with more of a masculine touch. Really nice, tropical, sweet, freshy. Up next, we have a niche bestseller. So this is a bestseller in the world of men's niche fragrances. It's not a top 40 bestseller as far as men's fragrances overall, but as far as the niche list, it is. And it is the number 13 most popular men's niche fragrance in the world. It is Original Santal from Creed. Now you might say, yeah, but it's a Creed, so of course it's gonna be ranked really highly in terms of sales, but Original Santal is basically like a niche version of Yop Homme. You know what I think about Yop, right? Yeah, just cast me into the pits of Hades, man. That's Yop. That's the smell of Hades. If you die and you wake up and all you smell is Yop Homme cranked up to like 11 as far as the scent, you ain't in heaven, bro. Sorry. So Original Santal, that's the niche version of that, so yeah. I legitimately decanted like almost this entire bottle and just gave it to other people because I was like, nah, thanks. I can see I haven't sprayed this in a long time, so there we go. I mean, it's better than Yop, but it's better than Yop. It's better than Yop. But anyway, why is it a surprise that this is at 13? Well, let me give you some niche fragrances for men that this outsells. Oh, it's in the air now. Oh no. This one outsells Pegasus and Halton from Parfums de Marly. It outsells Virgin Island Water from Creed. It outsells Viking from Creed. It outsells Herod. It outsells Sedley. It outsells Straight to Heaven from By Kilian. It outsells Reflection Man from Amouage. I mean, it is outselling a lot of niche fragrances for men that you would not expect, because I would bet you that a lot of guys, if you said, okay, which one sells more, Original Santal or Pegasus? They'd pick Pegasus, and they'd be wrong. Or Sedley. Nope, not Sedley. Herod? Nope, not Herod. Virgin Island Water? Nope, none of those. Let's keep it niche, but this one doesn't sell quite as much as Original Santal. This is the number 35 best-selling niche fragrances for men, Colonia Pura from Acqua di Parma. Now, to be fair, this is toward the lower end of the top 40 men's fragrances in the niche realm, but it's still doing really, really well. And I would say a lot of people out there would not expect Acqua di Parma to be placing so high. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, this outsells Red Tobacco from Mancera. And again, I would wager that most people, if you said, okay, what sells more, this or Red Tobacco, they'd be like, oh, the Mancera, obviously, and they would be wrong. Actually, this outsells a massive amount of niche fragrances. There is not a single men's Xerjoff fragrance that Xerjoff makes that's marketed toward men, that outsells this. So yeah, bit of a surprise. All right, let's get back to the overall bestsellers list. Number 21 is Mont Blanc Legend, 2120. So why is this a surprise? Well, for a number of reasons. First off, it's Mont Blanc Legend. I think a lot of people out there don't realize just how popular Legend is. Yes, it smells similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, and yet that annihilates Fierce as far as sales. Oh, Mont Blanc did it better, I guess? I don't know. Some people are gonna be like, no, they didn't! No, they just sold it for less! Okay. Really, really easy to wear, very versatile, owing to the similarity to Fierce, and also a big compliment puller. This has spawned an extremely popular line of fragrances. A lot of people rocking Legend Spirit, the original Legend, Legend Eau de Parfum, actually the new Legend Blue I think smells really nice. And with that placing almost in the top 20, it outsells almost every other men's fragrance on the market, other than the 20 above it. All right, number 8 best-selling men's fragrance, period. Hero. I feel like Burberry needed that one. I feel like they did, because you know they had Mr. Burberry, which that wasn't so hot, was it? Mr. Burberry was supposed to compete with the Sauvages, the Bleu de Chanels, and the YSL Ys of the world. Instead, it competed with everything in the bargain bin and was like, please pick me. I've been here in the clearance bin for the past 3 years. Please buy me. Now, I don't hate Mr. Burberry. Actually, I think some of the ones in the line are good, especially for the price point from discounters. I guess that's the point, isn't it? Yeah, Mr. Burberry, not as big as it was supposed to be. And guys, when that was first announced, if you were around, there was hype behind Mr. Burberry. The initial one, there was hype. Supposed to be a big blue fragrance, like I said. Francis Kirkshawne was the perfumer, had a nice looking bottle, and it just came out and went bleh. And then Burberry has a number of other fragrances that have come out over the past number of years that, you know, they have some people that like them. Burberry London, I think, is cool. Burberry Touch, some of the Brit fragrances. But they didn't have anything big until this. And here's something that is a little interesting. So Burberry Hero, this is a cedar fragrance, has a lot of cedar in it, 3 different types, I believe. It's a very modern, woody fragrance, easy to wear, classy, ultra versatile. Dior Homme 2020 is also a fragrance that has a lot of similarities, not in terms of how they smell necessarily, but the idea behind them. A fresh, modern, woody fragrance, Dior Homme 2020. Burberry Hero is the number 8 best-selling fragrance for men. Dior Homme 2020 is not in the top 40. So while a lot of people out there, myself included, might say Dior Homme 2020 is the superior fragrance in terms of sales, that is. Number 32 best-selling men's fragrance, Eternity. It is outselling every men's fragrance on the market other than 31 other scents. Why is that a surprise? Well, it's Eternity. I don't know. I mean, it's a classic, right? I think most of us would agree with that it's a modern classic, but still. That is outselling Terre d'Hermès, H20, actually everything by Hermès. It's outselling everything by Dior other than Sauvage and Sauvage Elixir. It is outselling everything by Chanel, except for the Bleu de Chanel line. So put a little respect on Eternity's name. That is almost a top 30 best-selling men's fragrance still to this day. From there, we go to the number 28 best-selling men's fragrance overall, the number 2 best-selling men's niche fragrance, Millésime Imperial. That is possibly the biggest surprise to me, just as far as like the best-selling men's fragrances, that Millésime Imperial is doing so well that it is the number 2 best-selling men's niche fragrance. And I think you know what number 1 is. If you don't, it's Aventus. But Millésime Imperial is number 2 to Aventus. Only Aventus as far as niche fragrances. And then is doing so well that when you factor in designers, it's still in the top 30. I would have never pegged this fragrance for that until I saw the numbers. Like, what? I mean, I love the scent. I really, really like that. Like, I'll take this 100 times of 100 over that, okay? Sorry, Original Santal, but yes. And I guess it makes sense to an extent because you see a lot of clones for Millésime Imperial. Like you've seen them coming out over the past few years, a little more prominently maybe. But there's been designer fragrances that smell similar to Millésime Imperial for a while. And so the deal with that is these brands know what's selling. Like everybody has access to these numbers, right? In the business side of things. So that means they can see which niche fragrances are selling, right? So they go, oh, wait a sec. Oh, Millésime Imperial's making a lot of money. Let's do that, but cheaper. All right, good. Yep. All right, let's finish it with the fragrance that is 1 spot higher than Millésime Imperial as far as sales. Number 27, L'Homme. YSL L'Homme, the OG, still selling. La Nuit de L'Homme, is that the bestseller? No, it's L'Homme. And it makes sense why. The opening's super pleasant. That ginger citrus combo still smells amazing, and a lot of fragrances have adopted using that style. It's just a big compliment puller. Easy to wear, and like some of these other ones. You buy it, you wear it, you like it, you buy it again. And I want to bring one thing up here with YSL. They actually crush it like in a sneaky way where you may not think that they're crushing it as hard as they are, just as far as men's fragrances I'm talking about. Because check this out, YSL has L'Homme in the top 30. They have Myself in the top 10, which I think is gonna be probably top 5 at the end of this year. And if they get some Myself flankers in there that crush it too, Myself is gonna be a top 3 best-selling fragrance in the world. Then you have Y, which is, what is that, top 3, top 4? And then you have Y Le Parfum, which is actually considered a separate entry in the top sellers list because it's Le Parfum instead of Eau de Parfum or Parfum. It's a whole thing. I did a video on that you can check out on the channel, like the top 20 best-selling fragrances in the world, most popular in the world. But they have all those. YSL has L'Homme, it has Y, it has Myself, all in the top 30 bestsellers. They have 3 separate lines that are in the top 30 bestsellers in the world. Dior has Sauvage, that's it. Fahrenheit, not in the top 40. Dior Homme, not in the top 40. Now to be fair here, again, to drive this home, I'm not saying YSL superior to Dior, right? I'm just putting out facts. Chanel, Bleu de Chanel. That's it. Allure, not in the top 40. Egoiste, not in the top 40. Now I know some people would go good. It means less people wearing it because it's better. But I'm just saying in terms of sales only, YSL has 3 lines now in the top 30. And I'm not saying maybe Dior or Chanel should come out with something, but maybe Dior or Chanel should come out with something. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video.